This is the Chorus Coda Hybrid 16mm, and it might be what you'd get if the Super Court were a foam core paddle. Or is it? This is Chorus's first full foam paddle, and it's built around what they call Treblefoam, a three-layer foam construction that's different from some other Gen 4 builds. The paddle retails for $174 before code MPB at checkout, which will also help to support this channel. Full disclosure, Chorus sent me this paddle to test with no strings attached, no money changed hands. I'm not obligated to create any content for them, and these are my honest impressions. The Coda launches February 4th at 12 p.m. Eastern, and you'll be able to buy it directly from Chorus Pickleball. The Coda is built around a three-foam layout. At the center is an EPP foam core. That's the primary energy absorption layer. Around that sits a thin EVA foam ring that acts as the decoupling layer for the floating core design. That thin EVA band is the key detail here. By keeping it thinner than many Gen 4 floating foam builds, Chorus lets the EPP section run closer to the edges, which increases the effective EPP contact area. At the very perimeter, there's a polyurethane expanding foam. Chorus positions this as more than just a gap filler. It's meant to support the edge structure and influence how the paddle behaves on off-center contact. The face is a composite stack: soft carbon, thin fiberglass, and soft carbon. The surface finish on the launch version is traditional premium peel ply. One thing to note about the surface: this first release is not the upcoming Harmony Grit version. Harmony Grit is described as a granule-infused peel ply meant to last longer, not to meaningfully increase roughness compared to standard peel ply. It's expected a few months after launch and will cost more. I'll circle back on that later. On the topic of break-in, Chorus says there's no intentional break-in by design, but like many floating foam core paddles, a sample can soften and relax over the first few games if it feels stiffer than expected initially. That matters for this paddle, and I'll get into why when we talk about playtesting. But first, let me walk through the measured specs on my sample unit. Starting with dimensions, this is a 16.25-inch paddle with a 7.825-inch width. Handle length is 5.6 inches with a 4.25-inch circumference. So this is a true hybrid geometry. The static weight came in at 7.74 ounces, which is on the lighter side, lighter than 94% of the paddles in my database. This is notably light for a hybrid. Swing weight measured 110.2, and to put that in context, this swings faster than 81% of the paddles I've tested. For a hybrid, that's quick. You're getting hand speed without sacrificing reach. Twist weight is 6.8, which is above average, more stable than 75% of paddles in my database, and that's a real differentiator for this paddle. The balance point sits at 24.4 centimeters from the bottom of the handle. For a 16.25-inch paddle, that's basically a neutral balance. Not head heavy, not head light. Combined with the low swing weight, this thing feels fast through the zone. Surface roughness measured 6.11 microns, which is average texture for peel ply. Nothing wild, nothing smooth, right in the middle of what you'd expect. Power is average, pushing slightly above average in some areas. This isn't a paddle that's going to blow people off the court with raw power, but you have more than enough to finish points and drive through the ball when you need to. And also, I think the days of max power, or rather, a wide variance in output might be done, or at least not a big theme anymore, since everything is so relatively close. Pop, meaning punch volley speed, is slightly above average. The paddle has real rebound speed on short exchanges. It's not overly punchy or explosive, but it's responsive enough to handle quick hand battles at the kitchen. Spin sits right around average. You can brush the ball and generate solid topspin, but you're not getting the absolute highest RPM ceilings I've measured. For this surface type though, it's competitive. The control score, a beta metric on my website, mattspickleball.com, is 72, which is notably high. There's a formula for how that value is calculated. Check it out on this paddle's details page on my website. Let's talk break-in experience. Fresh out of the box, how this paddle performed reminded me of the Chorus Supercourt HX, on the stiffer, more poppy side, with average perceived drive power. After all, you're not moving much mass with this one in stock form. It's worth noting because it lines up with what Chorus acknowledged. Some samples can start out feeling stiffer than intended and then settle into their target feel after a few games. That happened to me. Over roughly 3 to 6 hours of play plus some small setup adjustments, that same paddle softened considerably and became something I genuinely like, a lot. A friend of mine who hates foam cores picked this one up after that period and had a positive impression immediately, which tells me this could be timing, sample variation, or just how fresh the foam system plays out of the box. Think about a paddle that is new and unhit, and there's all these glues and polymers now hit with a harder lifetime ball, and things are naturally going to loosen up just a touch. Once the paddle settled, the feedback was consistent. This is a touch-friendly paddle with a slightly softer feel. You get decent dwell time and a clean response across the entire face. I'm sure there are dead zones across this face, as there seem to be on most paddles. I just haven't found it yet. Not once did I miss at a ball and think, I hate that dead zone. From the baseline, the Coda delivers solid pace without being a power monster. You have more than enough to finish points and attack through the transition zone, but this isn't built to overpower. It's more controlled power. What it does well is stay predictable and controllable. You can place drives consistently without the ball taking off on you. Spin is competitive. You can brush or roll the ball and generate solid topspin for drives and third shot drops. You're not getting the absolute highest RPM ceilings, but you're right there where you'd expect to be. At the kitchen, the paddle does well in touch shots and speed ups. It's responsive on punch volleys and blocks, but it's not overly punchy. You get a balanced rebound that's easy to control, but it's even better with weight. More on that in a bit. The sweet spot is clean and consistent. I can't quantify the size of the sweet spot, but my assessment is that it's above average. It's good, not small. That 6.8 twist weight shows up in real play. No hot spots, no dead spots, and off-center hits stay predictable. The thin EVA band and wider EPP contact areas seem to deliver on the promise of a more forgiving face. Handling is quick. At 110.2 swing weight, this is one of the faster hybrids I've played. The neutral balance point helps here. It doesn't feel head heavy, so you can whip it around pretty easily. Dinking and touch shots are where this paddle shines. The slightly softer feel gives you good control on drop shots and resets, and the above average sweet spot makes it easy to place shots consistently. Look, I really like the way this paddle plays. It requires almost no calibration. You pick it up and it just works. There's no figuring it out. Compared to the upcoming Holbrook Fuse, the Coda sits on the firmer, more solid side of that spectrum. The Fuse is a touch more hollow and softer, while the Coda feels more connected and responsive, relatively speaking. Once the face softens a touch after that initial break-in period, the paddle hits a sweet spot that's genuinely fun to play with. So I think this is a touch-oriented hybrid that prioritizes predictability and maneuverability over raw output. After the potential settling period, you get a paddle with a softer feel, clean sweet spot, and fast swing behavior that makes it easy to place shots and control pace. So why does this happen? I think the 3-foam construction and thin EVA band create a more cushioned response compared to honeycomb or single foam designs. Stock, I think it plays pretty well, but I also think it plays better with weight. I did add an 8-inch strip of Chorus's silicone tape that's 0.5 grams per inch, starting 2 inches above the handle and running up. That gave me 4 grams of added mass, which improved stability, increased the sweet spot size, and gave me more plow through for drives. Given the Coda's low static weight and low swing weight, there's plenty of room to customize without slowing it down. If you want more power, more stability, or a slightly softer response, you have room to add weight and tune it to your preference. The Coda sits in the competitive Gen 4 floating foam space at $174. If you're comparing it to other Chorus products, I'd say this. If the Supercourt were a foam core paddle, you get something close to the Coda. But the Coda trades the Supercourt's honeycomb precision for a softer, more cushioned feel from the foam construction. Other comparisons come to mind, like the Honolulu Pickleball J2NF and the Enhanced Duo 16mm. The J2NF is nearly identical in output metrics, but slightly less stable. The Duo is built for heavier swing weight and higher output, while the Coda offers a touch faster speed and a much higher control score. You can't go wrong with any of these paddles. So I think the Coda is ideal for players who want fast handling in a hybrid without giving up stability. You value predictable output that stays inside a controllable range, and you want an above average sweet spot with forgiveness. You're someone who values touch, placement, and quick hands over raw power. This is not ideal for players who are strictly chasing top end serve output and the highest RPM ceilings. It's also not for players who want a paddle to feel identical from the first 5 minutes and don't want any settling behavior, even if it's only after a few games. But in play, would you really notice that difference? Or do I notice it because I've hit so many paddles? Either way, It's not a negative for the overall performance of the Coda. So let me circle back to the Harmony Grit version. The launch paddle uses standard premium peel ply, which is what I tested. Harmony Grit is positioned as a durability upgrade. Harmony Grit versions are expected a few months after launch and will cost more as the raw cost of goods is higher. If surface durability is a priority for you, that's worth keeping in mind. But for most players, the standard peel ply is competitive and performs well right out of the box. So that's it. That's the Chorus Coda 16mm hybrid review. This is a well-executed Gen 4 foam hybrid that delivers on touch, stability, and speed. And I'm giving it a strong recommendation. The potential break-in period is real and worth knowing about, but once the paddle settles, you do get a predictable, playable tool that's easy to control and customize. If you're looking for a touch-oriented hybrid with fast handling and a clean sweet spot, the Coda is absolutely worth considering. Use code MPB at checkout for a discount. So what's more important to you, raw power or touch and control? Let me know in the comments. If you found this helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.